Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Wednesday morning, Lincoln Riley, the USC Trojans, landed a very intriguing commitment coming from the transfer portal in former Wyoming defensive lineman Gavin Meyer. And this is a kid that, was highly sought after by a lot of different Power 5 programs, but a lot of USC fans, voiced some concerns about a group of 5 interior defensive linemen that is undersized jumping up to the Big Ten Conference. And I think on the surface level, I think a lot of those questions are certainly warranted. But when you dive into the film, you start to have those questions less and less because although he is undersized, he's a phenomenal athlete for an interior defensive lineman. I think most importantly, this is an elite player in terms of using his hands, getting off blocks, and getting into the backfield. And you take a look at Dan Lynn and that UCLA defense in 2023, it's very well noted. They were the number 2 run defense in the country during that 2023 year. You start diving into some numbers, you dive into the film and say, why was UCLA so good against the run last year? They were number 3 in the country in creating negative plays. This is a UCLA defense last year that did an excellent job getting into the backfield, penetrating, and creating some of those negative plays. And you make no mistake about it. That is exactly how Dan Lynn wants this USC defense to look heading into 2024. And you look at a guy like Gavin Meyer, yes, he does not have the size that a guy like Isaiah Rakes gave USC before he ended up hitting the transfer portal in the spring. But he does give you a little bit more juice off the line of scrimmage, a little bit more ability to start creating those negative plays that is so coveted for this Dan Lynn defense. I think Gavin Meyer, one, is kind of a really good football player from watching the film, but I think more importantly, fits exactly what USC wants to do on the defensive side of the football. Fired up to get into this one. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys, to the USC fans. And y'all know I love talking this program, whether it's high school recruiting, transfer portal. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. All the fight ons you guys throw in the comment section, that stuff means the world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with, before we get into the film, some of the things that, for me personally, are really attractive to a guy like Gavin Meyer. And I think the first one is the 6'4" frame. And I think a lot of USC fans in the comment section, when we talked about this commitment, said, hey, we could see this guy getting up to 295, potentially 300 pounds by the fall in 2024. That is, certainly accurate. You look at Gavin Meyer, how he carries that weight. He's got a lot of room on that frame to put on some weight over the next couple of months. We know Coach Wiley has done a phenomenal job putting on weight with a lot of different players over the last couple of months. I think you probably do see Gavin Meyer be over 290 during kickoff in 2024. But I think also more importantly, he is extremely experienced, right? 800 plus snaps the last 2 years. But I think most importantly, we talked about this a little bit a couple days ago. When you're looking at group of 5 transfers, you're often looking at, can they make that jump? Gavin Meyer was a phenomenal football player for Wyoming. That's why a lot of Power 5 programs wanted him. Can he make that jump to the Power 5 level, to the Big Ten Conference, where that is one of the best line of scrimmage conferences that you'll see in the country? And you dive into the film and say, he played some of his best games against some elite offensive lines. And I want to start with this Texas game, where I thought it was probably the best piece of film that I watched from him. And I want to talk about, how does Gavin Meyer win, right? You're taking a look at this rep right here, working right here between, kind of head up on the right guard here. And they're going to run a stretch play to the left side of this offensive line. And what you're going to see Gavin Meyer do is kind of use that athleticism. One, I'm going to get off this block from the center, and I'm going to run the line of scrimmage, work through traffic, and meet this running back right in the hole. Gavin Meyer is exceptional at not only getting off blocks, but moving laterally and being able to make his plays out or behind the line of scrimmage. You continue to work through the Texas film. You see a couple other different things that you really like from Gavin Meyer right here working. You're going to see him kind of work with a double team here between this right tackle and right guard. And again, once again, Gavin Meyer running the line of scrimmage, being a phenomenal athlete for a guy that is 285 pounds, meeting the running back again right at the line of scrimmage. A lot of those stretch plays that you see a lot of teams run. You look at someone like Isaiah Rakes, you're not getting that type of activity and that type of influence on those type of games, right? When you're looking at Isaiah Rakes, he is a two-gap guy that struggles to move laterally. Gavin Mayer is not that guy. I think he can hold up to double teams. You see him get off blocks, be strong at the point of attack, but he also gives you, some of that athleticism to run the line of scrimmage and make some of those plays that, again, not a lot of other interior defensive linemen in the country can make those kind of plays. You continue to work through the film, and I think one of the most appealing aspects to a guy like Gavin Mayer is what he can do from a penetration standpoint. Take a look at this rep here again, working right here. Head up on one of the better guards in the country in DJ Campbell. What you're going to see Gavin Mayer do here is just, hey, we're going to win immediately off the line of scrimmage. You see that right tackle try to execute that reach block and that stretch scheme. And Gavin Mayer's get off the line of scrimmage is exceptional. He's a guy that gets into the backfield a lot. And although he doesn't necessarily make this play, you're seeing Gavin Mayer have a massive influence on how this play is going out. They want to get this play to the perimeter on the left side. Gavin Mayer certainly not allowing that to happen. And I think it starts with his athleticism, his ability to use his hands, get off blocks, and get into the backfield. Again, on the surface level, this is a group of 5 interior defensive linemen that's undersized, jumping up to the Power 5 level. But when you start turning onto the film, you kind of get the understanding of why all these Power 5 teams were interested in someone like Gavin Mayer. He's a guy that lives in the backfield. He's extremely active. He's extremely disruptive. And I think on top of all of that, he's a guy that can give you some juice in the pass rush, right? You look at Gavin Mayer's pass rush win rate, that was 12% last year. You look at Isaiah Rakes from Texas A&M in 2023, it was 3.4%. And so you're getting an interior defensive lineman that also can give you some juice in the pass rush as well. Taking a look at this rep against Texas Tech, another quality offensive line from last year. Gavin Mayer, really good off the football, using his hands, really good flexibility, getting low, bending around that center. That is a phenomenal pass rush from a guy on the interior of the defensive line. Although it does not get the sack, again, Gavin Mayer is much more disruptive and productive than what the box score necessarily says about a guy like Gavin Mayer. So I kind of understand the questions that some USC fans might have in terms of, all right, on the surface level, you're getting an interior defensive lineman that's a little small for the position, that's jumping up to the Power 5 level, that wasn't necessarily extremely productive at the Group of 5 level. I can see why USC fans on the surface would have some questions about it. But I think when you get into the film, especially the film of when he's playing Power 5 competition, Texas Tech, 2 really quality teams, obviously Texas being a phenomenal team in 2023, you start to understand why programs like Florida State, like Illinois, like a lot of other Big Ten teams and some, not Pac-12, California was also after Gavin Mayer. You start to understand why a lot of Power 5 programs wanted a guy like Gavin Mayer adding into that defensive line. I think this is not necessarily the flashiest gap, right? This is not a Derek Carmen or Dominic Williams caliber name, but you talk about making an addition that is certainly going to make this interior defensive line better. That's Gavin Mayer. And I think on top of that, he fits exactly what Dan Lynn wants to do with this USC defense. Really sneaky good get for USC, a guy that is certainly going to contribute for this USC defense heading into 2024. Fired up about this one. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.